All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Log Talk with Pert Near Outdoors. This is your host, Billy, and we are on to episode 102. This week, you are going to hear a discussion that I had with the Dunnigan family, which is the new owners of a business called The Hunt Works in Rochester, New York. These guys are coming into the area and bringing a little bit of a new business to us here in our region of the state, and what they're going to be doing is selling tree stands and ground blinds, some brands that you really can't find in stores. And plus, with ground blinds, elevated, more permanent ground blinds, it's tough to find those in a store and really put your hands on them and get some experience with them. So very excited about what these guys are doing and finally getting to sit down and meet them and let them kind of explain who they are and why they're doing what they're doing. Brings a lot of excitement to me for what is to come for them and what they can do to help our community here in the Rochester, Western New York, Buffalo, upstate in general. They're bringing a cool mix to the game. So hope you enjoy this discussion here. I strongly encourage you to go over and check those guys out. They're actually, excuse me, we talked about it a little bit in here. There's an event coming up in a couple weeks down at Wellsville Rod and Gun Club with the Upper Genesee National Deer Association branch. They are finally brushing the dust off and getting going with doing an in-person event. And they're going to be having a kind of a field day type deal, 3D archery contest if you'd like to participate, and also just going to be kind of an open interactive. They're going to have raffles, kind of going to have a little bit of a banquet feel to it, although it's not a banquet. They got, you can buy raffle tickets, you can eat, drink. They're going to have raffles, and where this ties into the Hunt Works, they are going to be raffling off one of their Banks ground blinds, one of the I believe it's the Whitetail Properties edition, which is things tricked out, top of the line, and a pretty good opportunity for somebody to walk away with a about a $3,000 value prize, probably for a lot less of investment than that. So if you're interested and if you're in the general area, I would encourage you mark that down on your calendar and come down to participate in that. So they are selling tickets ahead of time. It's my understanding that you can get tickets the day of when you show up. But if you're interested in getting tickets ahead of time or seeing what that all looks like, I posted up the event information on our Facebook page, and the Upper Genesee branch, they have a Instagram and Facebook page where they're sharing that information. And you could reach out directly to me, and I'll put you in touch with Sean Burdick, or if you do know Sean, you can reach out directly to him, and he'll tighten you up. You can Venmo the money, or however you handle your financials, you can get your tickets ahead of time if you'd like to. So pretty cool opportunity there. So rolling into a couple other things we've got coming up that I want to put on people's radar before we get into this discussion today is, let's see, we covered that. Next weekend, which will actually be the 15th of May, next Saturday, there is the BHA, New York BHA, is teaming up with the New York State DEC to do a little bit of habitat work down at the Jersey Hills State Forest, which is down in Alfred, New York. So another opportunity if you'd like to get out and do a little bit, whether you're a member of BHA or not. If you listen to this and you just would like to get involved and do a little work, it's not a huge commitment. It's just from, I believe it's 12:30 to 3 or 12 to 3, pretty short little 3-hour window, middle of the day. So anybody who is interested in doing that, feel free to, you could find the sign up and find the information at New York BHA's or at BHA's website. They've put some posts up on their social pages with links to that, so you can do the sign up beforehand so they know who to expect and who's going to be there. There's a waiver you have to fill out in order to just so liability standpoint, the state and BHA are not liable for any nicks or dings while working in the bush. So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm going to go down. I don't think any of the other guys are available, but I'm going to rip down there for a couple hours at least and just help out a little bit. Been itching to get engaged and do some of these in-person boots on the ground type of activities. So we've got that coming up. Come on down if you're interested. Something a little bit further out on the horizon. Excited that a big friend of ours. Man, this guy's just become quite the superstar. Eric Reeder, he has set up a teach and train for tethered. So he is persistent. I will give him that. And he has been talking with me, and he'd been talking with tethered, trying to coordinate something. And he did go to the teach and train out there in Michigan about a month ago, and he had a great time and was very motivated to come back here and try to have something here in our neck of the woods. So August 14th, mark that on your calendar. That's a Saturday. There's going to be a tethered teach and train event at Allied Archery, which is right there in Alden on Clinton Street. And just a quick jaunt outside of Buffalo, and also not a terrible ride from anywhere in the southern tier or over in the Rochester area. And even if you were to shoot out from Syracuse, it's not that bad of a ride. Just get off the thruway in Pembroke and pop down onto Clinton Street, and you'll all be out there in no time. I'm very excited about this event. I think this will be a great networking event, a great educational event. Listening to the guys talk about what goes on at these, it's not all about a brand in particular. It sounds like Tether does a great job with this being more about educating and informing people on saddle hunting, and it's kind of just a kind of similar to what NDA is doing in a couple of weeks. Just a field day. People come out, interact, network, meet each other, learn, and try to just help us all progress and move forward. Some mobile hunting techniques, or just simply meet a new hunting buddy. It seems like every time I go to one of these events, somebody's meeting someone, and it's a friendship that grows deeper and deeper. Gives you somebody to go chase those adventures with, which is pretty cool. So check that out. Put it on your calendar. If you're interested, you should definitely try to make it. No cost. Meal will be provided. And to my understanding, there's always a lot of fun giveaways and things like that too. So definitely a great event to put on the calendar to look forward to. All right. So last thing I'm going to do before we get ripping is a few of our partners and people that we're starting to work with. So as all you all know, Genesis 3D Printing is a company that we've been working with, and now I'm field staffing with them, which I'm very excited about and looking forward to some of the new products that Austin and the team are working on. And I can't wait to get my hands on them and get out and start trying to work with them as we approach hunting season here. So Austin was generous enough to give our listeners a discount code. So if you use promo code PERTNEAR, it'll give you 10% off at their website. I don't believe it needs to be capitalized, so just type that in over there at genesis3dprinting.com, and you'll get yourself 10% off your next order. So support Austin, support us. We'd appreciate that. Not getting anything financially out of this myself, but hopefully you never know what the future might bring. Next would be Basemap. I'm excited to continue to grow our relationship with Ed and the team over there. I've become a very big fan of this app. It's a mobile GPS hunting app, mapping, waypoints, GPS, many different layers. That's probably my favorite thing about this app, is that it's not just a satellite, a topo, and a street view, or kind of an overhead street map. You're getting, it's a hybrid on the other big name brand. This with Basemap, you've got a myriad of different options, several different satellite layers, combination satellite and topo, and then a couple different topo maps as well, which I'm a big fan of. I like to look at stuff in different ways to see what things look like maybe at different times of year, with foliage, without foliage, and you can do all that right within this app. And waypoints as well. If you don't have an app like this, I strongly recommend it. I don't know how, even if you're hunting private property, it's incredibly valuable to have an app like this, so you can exactly see where property lines are. You can kind of see from an aerial point of view, where topography is, where vegetation may change, even just see where your neighbors, fields are, where their cabin is, roads, things like that. There's great value here. So definitely check out Basemap if you're interested in purchasing a subscription there. It's normally $30 a year for all the stuff that comes along with that. So that's all 50 states and all the layers. But if you use promo code PERTNEAR20, you'll get 20% off of that, which I think brings you down somewhere to $24, which is a a heck of a deal and keeps a whole bunch of money in your pocket for other goodies you want to purchase for your next hunting adventure. So check out basemap.com and use our promo code PERTNEAR20 over there. And lastly, on the promotional side of things, we have a link tree. I'm very bad about talking about this, and I don't like to feel like I'm pushing things on people to help financially support the podcast. But this is one way that you absolutely can. If you shop, namely probably the two biggest stores that get the most traffic through our affiliate links are Camo Fire and Cabela's. So if you shop at those stores, and if you don't mind, if you're going to go and browse on your phone or browse on your computer, use the link tree that's in the bio of both our Facebook and our Instagram accounts. And you click on that link tree. It's a little website, and it will take you straight to those websites that you want to shop at, and it will automatically have you connected to our account. And then any purchases you make, we get a small commission off of that. So that's a big way that you can help us right now. We're thinking about some other ways that we might be able to help fund the podcast, because things are getting more and more expensive as we try to get some merch and would like to upgrade some of our equipment and things like that. So trying to think about ways we can do that. So stay tuned on that end, but that's one way you can help us. And the other way is just to continue to help us spread the word on the podcast, help, whether it's to give a review, rate us. I'm very bad about that. But I heard Kevin Visison talking on his podcast this week, the Deer Hunter podcast, about no ASCII, no Getty, I think is how he put it. So I'm going to ask everybody out there that if you mind taking a moment and just rating the podcast and giving us a comment on whatever platform you're listening on, that would help greatly. And it just helps, kind of raise us up the list and give us more interaction, and hopefully you continue gaining listener base. So that is all I have. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you enjoy this discussion with the Dunnigans, a great family, a great new business in Rochester, New York. So make sure you head on over and check them out for your tree stand and ground blind needs. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week and keep fading them.
Hello.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm blasting up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the ghost, and
275
what's
pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah. He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. Okay, I think we're good. As we're talking, I'll adjust the audio if need be, but should be ready to rock. Phone's on mute. All right, I'm just being a smartass.
Just
They're all
checked.
good. This is not a serious, well, it's serious, but not that serious of a discussion.
Good.
I'm sitting down here today with the Dunnigan family. I'm with Father Tim, son Dan, and brother Steve. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm sitting here with the Dunnigans over in, this is East Rochester, where they are opening up their new store of a tree stand, high-end, kind of not the normal tree stand store or stuff you would find when you go to a store at a regular box store. So Dunnigans, thanks for inviting me over here to Huntworks to check out your new store.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
Steve, you're a little low on move that right up in front of your mouth there.
Gotcha. That better?
Yeah. Let me see, you're number 3, I think.
Check.
You good?
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So thank you guys for having me in. We connected because I had seen you'd created Dan had created a social media account.
Yep.
And it was I was curious about what exactly Huntworks was and what it was going to be. I was like, oh, Rochester, that seems interesting. That's right in our backyard and a store that is not something that we normally see around these parts. So I was interested, and then you actually did like a kind of a
turkey giveaway. Yep.
And I jumped on there to do that and helped interact with that, and then I got lucky enough to win a prize.
Yeah.
And it was Easter. I was sitting at my in-laws, and I got a message. I was tagged in. I was like, hot damn.
Yeah. We still
So,
got to get that to you, too.
we
so
do.
Don't leave here without
It's in the back. I'm planning on using it Saturday. So
Apparently.
didn't we talk about
We
this?
talked about
You
this.
mentioned it. You mentioned it.
That's funny.
Long history of him not listening, Billy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't want to uncover any, deep family issues here today,
As
but
long as nobody heard that ringtone, right?
yeah, that's a good song.
It is.
Tall and strong. It's
It
a
is 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is. Somewhere far east of here, right? So I guess let's just get right into it. I want to hear about you guys, kind of a little bit of your background and what got you started at looking at opening up a store like Huntworks.
We've bought a lot of tree stands over our lives and tinkered with, what made one better or worse or that kind of thing. And, kind of fast forward to Sunday in January, we were cutting up some ash trees in Dan's backyard and took a break. It was snowing pretty hard. And he said, what are you thinking of I mentioned that I was going to do another business. And he said, what's that going to be? And I said, well, now that big box store that will remain nameless currently has kind of left the space, I was thinking about doing tree stands. We have a affection for millennium stands and that kind of thing, and was really space for us geographically. So I'm thinking I'm going to contact them and see if we can get a dealership. And the next day, he had already done it. Dan had, kind of took the bull by the horn, so to speak, and did that. And they were very receptive. So the next day, he's like, I think he followed up with banks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
it all came about pretty quick. It was, very much just we knew there was an opportunity here to sell high-quality products to people that you're not able to go get your hands on those right now. You can't go to the big box store, Sportsman's Warehouse, and, they have good stuff, but there's a lot of the more entry-level products, more entry-level stands, and
Yeah.
we've, like my uncle was saying, have had an affection for millennium stands, and seemingly every year when we go to buy one, we can't find one. We're ending up
Where were you
buying it
getting them
from
before?
everywhere.
Online or?
Yeah,
yeah.
we would.
I bought them from Louisiana, from the Midwest, anybody that has them in stock.
But it was always a mom and pop shop. It was a small store similar to like what we're doing here that just happened to have a millennium left over, and they were trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
There was never that, there was never an opportunity to buy them locally.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, what the hell? Why not try to open up a store, get people in? A lot of people don't know about millennium stands. A lot of people don't know about banks blinds. They only know what is advertised to them at Sportsman's Warehouse or
just on social media
or
anywhere.
whatever. Yeah,
There's these companies that definitely dump massive amounts of money into their marketing, and you and I had this conversation, Dan. Like, I'm getting more into the saddle hunting space and working with Genesee 3D printing, and getting to know the guys that are in that group that they literally like eat, sleep, breathe saddle hunting, and they've opened my eyes to all these other things that are out there. And I'm like, all I know is the big brands that market themselves. I'm like, oh, this is the best. Well, it's like, no, there's all these others over here that are maybe you can't go find 100 of them stacked up at a big box store, but these things they're incredibly high quality. They're made well. They have support behind them, all the stuff that goes with that. So that's what's super unique about what you guys are doing here is that, I was just telling you, Brian, he has a millennium and he loves it. And and it's a unique setup the way you have the receiver and how you can put those stands up, and it's pretty cool what you can do with that. So to have the space where you can actually have people come in and look at it, and you got the blind set up outside so people can come and actually see what they look like and get up in them. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was, one of the main things that we were wanting out of this store was to give people the opportunity to come in here, see the product, and try it, and have people here that are knowledgeable about what we sell, rather than going to a big box store. There's nobody there to help you out. There's typically not the level of customer service. They're just trying to push product out. Our goal was just to have people come in, have a conversation, and try to help them figure out what stand is best for them.
Yeah.
Really. So
you guys have been kind of accumulating millenniums over time, and then how did the box blinds fall into it?
Well, we figure as a business model, we couldn't just survive
just
on
one thing.
Just selling tree stands or ladder stands type of thing. Millennium also has a unit called the Buck Hut, which we're excited to get in. It's looking like it's going to be mid-June now, because of the global materials issues type of thing. But that's a soft-sided blind. They have it up on the last year's model was strictly platform based. It was an 8-foot platform.
I think so, yeah.
To the blind itself, and this year they've decided, this can be on the ground also. So they gave it a different floor, and they're going to have a ground blind version of it. Same framework, I think, and everything. Just a little different floor setup because it's not going to be up on the metal stand that it comes with.
Yeah.
And then, like Dan said, he's like, he's a research guy, so he quickly looked at Redneck and Banks and Maverick and Grizzly, and I mean there's a lot of them out there, but typically everybody says Redneck. They see box blinds, it's just brand awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody calls it a redneck blind. That's
right.
That's what they call it.
They're the green ones with it says Redneck on the side, right? It's like, but then when you delve into the internet and see practical applications, kind of the cream kind of rises to the top, and you get more comments of, well, once you sit in a Banks blind, you know why guys buy the Banks blinds, type of thing. So they all have their place. Maverick is I guess more entry level, and very a la carte. So you start with the shell, and then you can add a base plate, and you can add a porch, a landing. Once
is
you
that
get
the
up
one that's closest to the building right here? With the
it
porch
is.
on it?
Yeah. That's the black one. And, the Banks blinds are fully rotomolded, so they're one piece. The Maverick blinds come in 2 halves, and they're married together by a bolt pattern around. They're waterproof. Same setup, windows and all of that, but, and hopefully you'll have enough time to go out and take a look at both of them.
Yeah.
But there's a fit and finish difference, a huge
you can tell.
finish.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell. So, it was just a product awareness that we weren't going to, survive in just by selling tree stands.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. You guys were smiling at each other when I asked about the millenniums. What was I was asking if you'd accumulated a bunch of them.
No, I mean,
one of us has a tree stand buying problem in the family. So we
blink twice if he's to your left. Or okay,
no,
it's Uncle Steve.
Yeah. Seemingly every year there'd be a couple boxes of M50s show up, and I wasn't complaining because they're awfully comfortable. So
are those the ladder stands, or are they the portable?
They're the
M50.
It's their second tier regular hang-on stand.
Hang-on, yeah.
Yep.
I think the first one we got was the M150.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah. I just happened to see one at one of the big box stores, Bass Pro, and said, that looks pretty sharp. So I got it. These guys didn't even know I got it. And I went and put it in Steve's primary stand as a little surprise to him. And that's kind of how we started focusing on Millenniums, because it's just a great stand.
Yeah, their seat is kind of second to none. I
Ridiculous.
mean, it's a really unique seat. It's very comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the main things when you're hunting out of a hang-on. I mean, that's kind of the deal. I mean, the platform's important. Stability is important, but, like, that seat is, but this is coming from a guy who typically has a cheap stand with the metal bar with no pad on it because the squirrels eat the pad.
Right.
And
we've got a shed full of those.
oh my God, everybody does.
Right.
Which that's kind of a nice thing about the Millennium is it's just that mesh, or that whatever that seat material is. It's not a mesh, but it
is mesh.
Would you kind of call it a mesh?
It's a mesh. But and other companies have those. But just whoever ergonomically set up the Millenniums, whoever their designer is, kind of gets it, you know. And it's just, we haven't found. In November of last year, we had a new property, and we couldn't get an M50 anywhere. We couldn't get an M25.
Couldn't get anything.
So I was frustrated. I didn't want to go take out one of our existing sets on a couple of properties that we hunt. So I just finally threw in the towel, and I drove up to Brockport. They had 2 Hawk Cruisers left up there, which feature-wise are phenomenal. I brought those both home, and it took me the first stand took me like 2.5 hours to put together, and I'm pretty mechanically inclined.
2.5 hours to put one of those things together?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then the second one, Dan showed up, and he said, you went and did it, huh? And I go, yeah, that's the first stand that I bought, and this is the last stand that I'm going to buy from Hawk.
Yeah.
A Millennium M50 takes about 15 minutes for the first time you buy one, and about 10 minutes for the second and third that you buy. So, it's just we've learned a lot over buying muddies and buying big game and
Field and Stream,
and
we've bought every tree stand and tried them all.
Yeah.
The same stands that everyone else is trying. Right? I mean, we're all going to the same stores buying the same stands.
Right.
So we've tried them, and there's a reason that we've stuck with Millennium and are selling Millennium, because in our mind, in our eyes, they are the best stand you can get for the money. I mean, there's other great stands. Look at Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf sells a great stand.
Yeah.
Lone Wolf stands are $450. I mean, they're pricey. So there's obviously a place for those stands for the super serious run and gun hunter who, money may not be as much of an option. Lone Wolf's a great stand. For the, $150 hang-on stand, we have.
Is that about the price point of the Millenniums?
So Millennium has a broad range. So
Okay.
their M25 starts at, I think it's about $120, $130, up to their M7 or their M60 is say $270, and the double, their premium double ladder stand is $400.
Yeah.
So it really crosses the spectrum there, but their most popular stands, our favorite stand is the M50, and that's
160.
160.
That's reasonable, really, when you think about it. When you're talking $30, $40 from your standard, stand that you might go to a regular.
Yeah. Well, and the other nice thing
Field
is
and Stream or whatever.
Every Millennium comes with a safety rope, so.
The lifeline?
The lifeline.
30-foot lifeline.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
that's a $15 or $20 value.
Exactly.
Or more, right? I don't know what those go for.
It's a 30, and theirs is a good one.
Yeah.
So it's a solid $30 value. They do have the cam lock where you don't climb the tree with the stand or raise the whole stand up and attach it. You attach the bracket that has a receiver. The only stand that's not that is their entry level, the M25. Which real world price is, I think, $119.
Yeah.
And the M50 is real world price right now $160, but before the 7% tariff and the 7% materials increase, it was $150, and real world price $140. So probably it won't cycle back down, but still at $160,
Nothing's getting cheaper. Let's be honest about that.
No. But we struggled. I can't find a stand in its class that is a better value, and that's why, Millennium was our target.
Yeah.
Yep. And jumping back quickly to your, why the box blinds. You've had John Teeter on before.
Yep.
So we had reached out to him last year, and one of his big things was hunting out of box blinds and the advantages of it. So that's what got us into thinking about putting some box blinds on our properties, because right now we hunt mostly out of hang-ons and ground blinds.
Mm-hmm.
And John was getting us into thinking, box blind isn't only for your 2-acre food plot and putting it right on the edge. You can put box blinds in the woods. You can put them. There's all sorts of different uses for them.
Yeah.
That we never really considered. And John turned us on to banks, and that's when my dad and I did all sorts of research online, looking at redneck and banks and grizzly, like my uncle was saying, and landed on banks is
that what John has? Does he have some banks on his property? I know he's got a couple.
Yep, he's got a couple banks.
Yeah, and we're kind of looking at it ourselves with my in-laws' property, because they've never hunted. We have one blind that Uncle Bob built out of cedar that he had cut from the property. He built a box blind out of that, but we're thinking about trying to put some box blinds up because we've got a rush of kids coming up, and we're going to want to hunt in blinds because it's just easier with the kids. And I mean, I could be taking my son out now if I had a blind to put him in, especially some of these. You get some of them, they got some, quieting insulation on the inside. So if he's in there, throwing a fit because I won't let him watch freaking Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or something, it'll block that noise out. But, I think the box blinds, they're definitely, they almost like had like a stigma to them that like you had to be some massive landowner, have to have these huge food plots to have a box blind. Like that's the only way you're going to have them. But you're so right. I mean, and John's right. And Dad and I were just talking about this. My grandpa had a spot on our property that we called it Fort Naples. And that was Grandpa built this blind with my brother and I years and years and years ago. And actually kind of crazy. And like, it makes you realize how long ago it was that it was built, because my dad and I 2 weekends ago went to that spot because Dad wants to build a box blind there. And I recommend, I'm like, why don't we get an actual box blind, like a plastic or whatever you want to call it, something that's prefab, so that we don't have to worry about the maintenance on it. It could just be here forever, But we go to this spot, and those logs that we cut, and they're gone. There's nothing. There's not even a stick left. So everything is decomposed and rotted down.
Sure.
And it was just like, wow, that's kind of like makes you realize how long it's been since this was built and the last time we stood here and thought about this. But yeah, I mean, and those are spots that's in the hardwoods. It's the middle of our hardwoods on our property. It'd be a sweet spot for a box blind.
Well, I think a lot of people looked at those as more of a comfort thing.
Yeah.
But from talking to John, we learned that it's more of a tactical use as well, because you're enclosed, you're not spreading as much scent. The deer are less likely to realize that you've intruded into their space.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big advantage to the blinds.
Yeah. Well, think about the areas where your property is down near us in Springwater, right? Is that Springwater where you guys are?
Canada, Springwater.
But like there's no consistent wind. You can't plan to hunt the wind down there. The only way you can do it on our property is a strong north or a strong south wind, because it goes up and down the valley. That's the only way you know what the wind's going to do. So like, it's so true. And you were asking me before, we were talking before we hit the record button, and do we have the deer figured out there? We've been hunting there for 40 years, and it's like, no, you don't. And one of the big things is wind. Like, we as a group have never, until I went out west and really started understanding thermals and the way that wind moves, because when you're hunting elk, that's everything, and deer out west because it's all mountains. You come back home and it's like, we never talked about this. Like, we just were like, oh, my favorite spot's in the brush. I'm going to go hunt the brush spot. Right. You didn't think about the wind. You didn't think about, is it morning or night? There was no thought about it. Maybe other people were, but I wasn't, and I know my brother wasn't. Like, we just went and hunted our favorite spots. So, like, I think, like, having, maybe thinking about having a box blind in that key spot on your property where you know the wind is unpredictable, but you know it's a great area for movement during the rut or during the day or morning or night. Like it's a really good tool to add to your toolbox.
And I think that's why we settled on the two brands we did. The Banks is a little bit more expensive. The Maverick, solid blind, a little bit less expensive. So it enables as many people to look at them in kind of all size wallets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have options.
Yeah.
Yeah, an interesting spec from Banks, since there's been this whole, global materials thing, is that out of all the blinds that they sell, they only sell their towers, their metal towers, steel towers, to 15% of their blind sales. Everybody else is now. Banks come with the 4x4 receivers built into the base of all of them, but it's still, most guys, they don't necessarily want to be 5 foot up or 10 foot up. They want to be 14 feet up, and what better way to do that than with pressure treated 4x4s type of thing. So, the Mavericks, they don't have that. You have to buy that as an accessory. But the Banks, it comes built in. So really, they, by the time you piecemeal everything versus just buy the Banks, it's a more narrow gap than you would think just by looking at MSRP or minimum advertised price type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's the shopper that says, okay, I like that blind. How much is it? It's X.
Yeah.
And then kind of go from there, and you can add on. Do the a la carte thing.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of different ways to configure them and use them. I mean, you can put one on the ground. So the Banks have a really interesting model called the Scout, that it has plastic rails on the bottom and a tow hitch. So you can just hook it right up to your ATV and drive it anywhere you want.
So you don't have to hook all water skis to it to pull it.
Yep. So guys that don't have a tractor and aren't able to get it back in the woods as far as they want and elevate it up 10 feet, that Scout model enables anybody with a four-wheeler to drive it wherever they want and set it up on the ground as a super comfy ground blind, basically.
That's cool.
Which a lot of older people, handicapped people, it's a great option for them to still enjoy hunting and get outdoors. When maybe they were sitting in a musty, wet ground blind before, and now they have a much better option
with 6 taped together poles and the broken zipper.
Yeah. I mean, and I think about like just our group. My dad's best friend Joel, he's getting to the point where it's tough for him. I mean, him and my dad have always been ladder stand hunters. For the last 15 years have been ladders. We used to be wooden permanents is what.
Right.
That's what we had all over our property. Right. And then it moved from there to portables, and then climbers were a big thing, and now it went to ladder stands. It's like we were joking about, Steve, you having a ladder or a tree stand buying problem. My dad, if you listen, I know Dad's gonna listen. Stop buying freaking ladder stands. we literally we're standing in a spot a couple weekends ago. I'm like, we should just this is a ladder stand that I had up when I was 14 years old. It was one of my first spots, and we put that ladder stand up, and it's like grown into the tree now.
Sure.
And I'm like, we should take that down and use it somewhere. And Dad's like, leave it there for nostalgia. It's like, really, Dad? It's just gonna be that. Like, there's gonna be just like grown into trees, wooden ladders or metal ladder stands all over the place. But Dad's a character with that. Like, he'll go to a store and they got a sale on ladder stands, and he's just like stocking it. Yeah, it's like, if anybody wants stands, call my dad. He might give you a deal on some out of the garage of the.
Well, if you want to let them buy one more, you'd have them buy it from us.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think that's a direction I could see us looking seriously is blinds, because I know with my kids, I'm going to want them up there, and it's just easier. We didn't have that growing up, but it wasn't an option. Now that it is, it can make the hunting experience so much more enjoyable for the kids.
Yeah.
That's where my head's at, is with the kids. Like, I could take Billy or Kate out there and be out of the elements, and they're happy and comfortable. And even if we're in there for a couple hours, you're not wet and cold. And
I mean, that's how Daniel got started. Is we had the blinds. We do have a wooden hut on our property that one of Steve's friends put up. And, you hunt in New York probably in the last 5 or 6 years, the opening days have been kind of sketchy.
Yeah. Snowy or rainy is pretty much what it's been.
So, if you're going to take a young hunter or a child out, you want to have a proper area where you can bring a heater, they can be comfortable, and they can enjoy the same thing you've enjoyed for so many years.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I was blessed with 3 daughters, and they're, they love the outdoors. They all play soccer, very competitive soccer, and 2 of the 3, what are you doing tomorrow morning? I'm hunting. What do you think I'm doing? And
the girls hunt?
Oh yeah, no, they
don't. They ask what you're doing tomorrow.
They'll probably never shoot anything.
Yeah.
And they're older now. They're 16, 19, and 22. But 2 of them have been with me, and if it weren't for ground blinds, they never would have come.
Yeah.
And back whatever the original iPod thing was, I'd let them. We bring hot chocolate and let them, but it was because we had cover.
Yeah.
We were in a ground blind. They wouldn't have sat out on a tree seat, or certainly couldn't, get them to go up a tree. My wife would have killed me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, she didn't need to know what happened down at camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
go to the road, right, Bill?
It's so funny because you wanna raise your kids hard and tough. That's how we were. Dad took Jimmy and I out, and we were in the blind. It was snowing, whatever. We were doing that with him. We may have been enjoying it at the time or not. I don't remember. But I yearn for that pain sometimes. But then it's I've only hunted out of that hut we have on the farm. It's the only blind I've ever hunted out of, an enclosed blind. And it's winds whipping at 30 miles an hour, and you're this is kind of nice.
It's kind of nice.
I don't have to be bundled up and shaking. So yeah, I definitely. So how do you guys envision you guys operating this? I think Dan, you were saying you don't see it being a Monday through Friday open type deal, but how do you guys plan to operate the business? If people are interested in working with you guys, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so we started this. We all have our regular full-time jobs. This is a side hobby because we want, like I mentioned earlier, we just want to help people get in front of these brands and get people into some high quality hunting products. So this will never be our full-time job. There just isn't, quite frankly, there's definitely not enough money in it.
Right.
But the way I think we'll do this is just a lot of phone conversations. Guys will call us, get our number, say, hey, I'm interested in this. And we'll say, stop on in, we'll meet you there. We'll go over everything. We'll get them into the right stand, the right blind, whatever they're looking for. So it'll be a lot more personal contact rather than a typical retail store where we're going to be open from 9 to 5, stop on in anytime. Not to say they won't be able to do that, but, like I said, we have our regular job, so we might not be always available like that.
Yeah.
And then we obviously have our online presence, so anybody can buy something online.
So do you have? Do you have a website set up?
We do. Yep.
Store and everything.
thehuntworks.com. So you can go on there. You can buy anything you want. We offer shipping on most things, aside from the super heavy ladder stands, just because it would cost $150 to ship it. So
right, it's not.
It wouldn't be worth it for anybody. And the box blinds, obviously, that's a pick up in store. But we offer shipping on all of the regular hang-ons and all of our accessories. So people will be able to operate like that. And then one thing we're really excited about is going to fishing game clubs and operating sort of these, not show specials, but essentially bringing the product to them.
Yeah.
And, bringing a trailer full of, ladder stands and hang-ons and having a special day, whether it's, they're doing an archery shoot or they're doing a skeet shoot or whatever it is, we'll bring product to them and say, hey, guys, have you ever seen these? No, that's really cool. I want one.
Yeah.
Cool. Here it is. So
yeah, I know myself personally, if I don't think I've ever been to a store where they have a box blind set up that you could physically get into and look at. I can't think off the top of my head where I've been to a store that actually has one there, or one that is of a quality that you'd want to take a minute and look at it, you know. So, yeah, I mean.
And for the large reason for that, Billy, is because of the liability, you know, on it. If, you know, you go to a box store and they've got one sitting out front, they don't want you getting up into it because, you know, somebody falls down that step and type of thing.
Yeah,
so,
no, that makes sense.
And like Dan said, we all have our normal jobs that we have to attend to, but we want people to stop by. When you put something like that up in a neighborhood like this, you know, we're pretty conveniently located off of 490 and we're pretty easy to get to. And we're 2 doors down from Leo's Bakery, which is
that's right. I drove by that. Yeah,
everybody knows where Leo's Bakery is. So there's a lot of traffic here, and people have been stopping by, you know, the last couple of weeks and wandering around the side yard, and then they, you know, because we don't have our full signage up yet, so they go, what is that? And you know, oh, that's a Banks box blind and a Maverick box blind, and it gives us exactly what we wanted. Just conversation about hunting and, you know, and product knowledge and product comparison and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our very first sale was to a guy just driving by. He happened to be dropping his truck off across the street and saw we had just put up our Maverick display. And he already had a couple Mavericks himself, but the old Maverick dealer in Western New York stopped selling a couple of years ago, so he didn't have any place to buy them. And he was driving by, and he's like, what the heck, that's a Maverick blind. So he stopped in, talked to my uncle, was like, hey, are you guys selling those? Yeah, cool, I'll take one.
Oh my God.
It was perfect. I mean, that's what we're looking for. It's, you know.
And building relationships with people, and you guys can be a resource to them,
you
know, and that they can come in here, and you guys are using the product. So again, like, kind of taking it full circle back to talking about what you can get working with you guys compared to working with a big box store, is that you aren't just in there, you know, you're not just walking into the store and somebody just so happened they could have been working the golf section 5 minutes ago and now they're trying to answer your questions about this tree stand.
Right.
You guys have sat hours and hours in these things and can speak to some of the goods and the bads.
Well, we don't like why we like this, you know. You're probably too young, but, you know, the first stands that we started to buy were Loggy Bayou stands. They had a nylon receiver that you put up in the tree and then raised the stand up. And in 2005, I actually fell out of a tree stand down in Genesee. And it wasn't because of the stand. It wasn't because of the tree.
What time of night was it? Was it late?
It was first thing in the morning. And Billy, it was an awesome morning. It was like hard frost. The last week of October, back when we used to get hard frosts in October.
Right.
That hasn't happened in years. And I was just transferring my weight from the, you know, it was before the climbing ropes and you know, it was the screw-in steps.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have the ladders, which we sell also, you know, all of the accessories we have in stock. And I was transferring my weight from the peg, the screw-in step, onto the base of the stand. And the branch, I don't know whether my wife snuck there the night before and, you know, put a little notch in it. That let go, and, you know, I went south.
You were grabbing onto the branch?
I was transferring my weight by holding the branch, which I had done for, you know, 2 years, you know, straight.
Yeah.
I think that stand had been there. That was probably the second year. And between Tim and I, and, you know, we would check our stands, let off the tension on them, you know, at the end of the season, and then go check them and make sure everything was good. And it was the second time I had hunted that stand that year. And gravity works, you know. I went south and got out of there. And
did you get hurt or?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. But so then Loggy Bayou just kind of went by the wayside. You know, they were out of Louisiana, and somebody bought them and then couldn't figure out how to merchandise them. And that's kind of when we started our affliction with buying, you know, different stands, finding the next best mousetrap type of thing. And now there's so many companies, like Dan said. I mean, Lone Wolf makes a phenomenal stand, but not everybody has, you know, $290 for an entry-level Lone Wolf that we feel a Millennium, you know, $160 Millennium M50 stacks up against it anyways, and you get the 30-foot safety rope to climb with. So, yeah, it's just, you know, getting to talk to guys like you and Dan mentioned John Teeter. I mean, I spent 6 hours with him, and talk about cerebral when it comes to hunting. You know, I found the first 2 hours he would like ask a question, and I was like panicked. It's like,
is this going to be the right answer?
Right? Am I going to get?
Yeah. He told me that your time together. He's like, we focused on pee and poop. That's what we focused on. But yeah, I mean, the moment I met John virtually. Funny enough, I've never physically seen the guy, but we've gotten to be really good friends over the last year because we've done multiple podcasts together. We talk on the phone frequently. So it's like it's community, you know, and it's helping, you know, making connections with people. And I've met, and it's not that at the end of the day, it's like we're all trying to raise each other up and try to raise the community up in this upstate New York area is where we've really kind of found our hotspot. This is who we are. This is what we are. I was just talking to my brother on the phone about it. It's like we got to just keep focused on who we are. It's not we can try to be like every other podcast out there, but it's like what really matters is what we've got going on here locally to us and what the regular Joe hunter is, that we all have 9 to 5s and we're trying to put food on the table and trying to make a living to support our families. But we have this deep burning passion for hunting that we all have in common. And everybody I meet that is, we have that passion in common. They're all just good people. So I could sit and talk with anybody like that for hours on end. This makes us doing this podcast
and we've got
easy,
families, and we want to be safe. Yep. That's a big thing, right? You go out in the morning, you want to be able to come home. Mm-hmm. You've got kids there. So you want to be safe, you want to be comfortable out there, and you want to help other people enjoy the thing that you enjoy.
Yep.
So I think it's all based on family, and I think we're just encouraged to help people that are doing this stuff look at some stands that we've found work better for us, mm-hmm. and let them kind of make their choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you guys have, aren't you meeting with the National Deer Association guy tomorrow?
Yeah. So the Upper Genesee NDA group, they're doing a big event. Actually, I think you might be. Are you
I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Go down to it.
Yeah, I think I might do it. I was talking. Are you meeting with Sean or who?
Sean Burdick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean's a great guy. He's extremely involved in all things conservation.
Yeah, he's into
from deer, ducks, turkey, fish, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's very involved. So he contacted us trying to get a blind to do a raffle, and so we're partnering with him. We're doing a raffle. All the proceeds are going right to his chapter. So
awesome.
we're pumped about that. That's going to be an awesome event. We're giving away.
You guys are going to be down there?
Oh yeah, yep.
Cool.
We're going to go down there. I got to dust off the bow and
I know, seriously. Yeah.
Actually put some fletchings on them. I think they're all off my arrows right now.
I'll go bear shaft. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So
that's how the Indians used to do it.
Right.
So so we're giving away or raffling off, top of the line banks blind. Going to be awesome. I wish we could buy tickets to it ourselves, but so yeah, that's going to be a good partnership. We're going to look to do that more often.
Yeah.
Partner with other NDA branches, like I was saying, local fish and game clubs, just kind of get out there in front of the people.
Yeah.
And get as involved in the community as we can get in Western New York. There's so many hunters in Western New York, and one box store doesn't suffice.
No.
So, getting out, meeting with people, having these conversations. I mean, just in the 2 months that we haven't even actually been open, really, but in the 2 months that we've been getting this together, we've already met so many great people. You've gotten on the phone with guys like Sean, like yourself, with Teeter. I mean, our network's already growing. It's going to be a lot of fun to see, who we can meet with and just how our network grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy Sean collaborates with Tim Joyce. Do you know Tim?
Mm-mm.
So he stopped up on Friday and bought a couple of turkey seats, and I'm not sure what age his son is, but they'll be out there on Saturday. And, it's 6 degrees of separation. It's like he lives down in Wellsville, area type of thing. And in 15 minutes, he's like, this guy, how do you know him?
I know.
It's like, I can't believe I haven't met you.
It's really small.
Until today.
Yeah.
So, and, I could tell in half an hour conversation with him that he's he's just as afflicted with, the outdoor passion disease.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Tim and Sean started that branch.
yeah.
The
I
Genesee
knew
branch.
there was that some sort of connection with that.
Yeah. And I met Sean through Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. I met him at a pint night. Actually, it was like the last event that America will ever have with freedom. Was back in West Seneca. Like I think it was the 13th of March last year. It was like a Thursday night, and the following day, a Friday, like that's when everything closed up. So I got to meet Sean. I shook his hand before we couldn't, legally shake hands anymore.
Right.
Be American, and it's. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to that event. I think that event's going to be a lot of fun. And there hasn't been an event as of that in a year. I think there should be a good turnout of people.
I think so, yeah.
That are looking forward to get out. It's an archery, so they're doing it at. I don't know. Do you have the details
I
of
think
the?
it's at the Wellsville Rod and Gun Club.
And it's May 22nd.
Yep.
From like 8 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon type of thing.
Well, 1 in the afternoon, I think they're starting the raffle because they have a bunch of smaller prizes as well for. I don't know if they're doing prizes for the archery shoot, but there's going to be an extended period of time open for raffle, for lunch, and just kind of, talking.
Have you been to a QDMA event or banquet
I have not.
type of thing?
NWTF is. I've been. The chapter in Lima is the one that we belong to, so we.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Ducks Unlimited, NWTF, QDMA, which ended up being NDA type of thing, and then COVID made I think every group adapt and adjust to what their thing was. I know the NDA they sold their headquarters in Georgia, or it was at least listed for sale because basically it was a beautiful property with a big warehouse to funnel all the product for their raffles for their banquets through, and those people completely intrigue me, the way they've kind of pivoted and gotten down really to the base level hunters type of thing. So what these guys are, what Sean and Tim are doing down at this event, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So I hope they get a huge turnout because their schedule looks like it's a not miss.
Yeah, and you just said something that's interesting to me, and you guys are business-minded people, and I think this last year's been pretty interesting to be in business because I think you've really had to adapt quickly, and you could either stay the same and put yourself in a really, really bad situation, or adapt and try to adjust and move on.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if there was what your thoughts were on that. Like you kind of mentioned that you were impressed with the way that they pivoted or moved there.
Well, my primary business is I'm in the promotions business, so I do anything that gets an imprint, screen printing, embroidery, pens, mugs. That's how I met the guys at QDMA.
Okay.
I do their banquet handouts, pint glasses, all that stuff. And COVID hit, and it's hard to be the events business when there's no events.
No kidding.
So, you get introspective, you worry about your family and that kind of thing, and then ultimately, I think you tend to find safe harbor in finding your passion, and a little bit of that is what QDMA did. I read their I think they have 4 publications a year now. They used to have maybe 8 or 10 or whatever. So that's shrunk a little bit because social media and internet and everything has proliferated, and so an actual magazine, I mean, who really reads a magazine as much anymore?
Right.
But they have found ways to stay viable and actually kind of flourish. So
yeah,
Dan's a business consultant, and Tim's retired Air Force in healthcare. So that's a whole set of different problems than something that I do.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like on the business front, I mean, I look at our business. We rapidly changed, and I give the owner of our company massive props for making the decisions he made when he made them early on, because to a lot of people they didn't have the foresight to see the forest through the trees, but he saw it, and I'm sure he was probably sitting on pins and needles making those decisions as a young guy that just purchased a company from his father, like literally on January 1 took ownership of a third generation owned family business and was hit with the biggest challenge the company's ever seen 3 months in. and made those decisions and made them confidently and sit where we are today. And it's like, damn, like that's like props, man. Because I think we've all learned a lot over this last year that you can either fight or you can learn what's going on and adapt and change, fight the change, or fight what's going on, or say, we're not going to let anything change, or we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. It's like, you got to realize what is coming and what's changing. And a lot of this stuff has been coming for a while, and this is just the icing on the cake,
Yeah.
But it's like doing what you guys are doing with engaging. We've been doing the same thing, like trying to help these organizations, because it's got to be different now. The way that people engage is different as it is. To get people to go to a banquet once a year, we enjoy doing that, but you could be doing things all year long in a normal, the normal function of your life that could be benefiting habitat and all these different things. So, you're just engaging with people in different ways to help move things forward.
We just found you in terms of these, so I've only listened to 3 or 4 of your casts, and every little bit of information, it just helps.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Which is the thing. You feed your passion.
Yeah, it's got to be entertaining. You gotta. I mean, it's hard because sometimes you're almost trying to recreate. I want to go back and listen to some of our earlier episodes and some of the stuff we did in the first year, because we had the first stuff we ever did was on our elk hunt, and sitting driving out there and the excitement. We had the recorder in the truck and we're just talking and ripping on each other, and sitting around the campfire eating elk backstrap, drinking vodka, and just telling jokes and laughing. Those are some of the best memories, and I captured them. And I'll have them forever. And
they don't sell Busch Light out there?
No. Now, honest to God, no Busch Light in Colorado. It's a damn shame. It's all but you don't want to carry a 30-pack 7 miles into the backcountry.
True.
That's counterproductive. And then what do you do with all those cans when they're empty, You could, I don't know what you do.
No horses or mules?
No. The 2 trips we've done out there, it's all on your back. So I can tell you, carrying an elk out is a feat. We had 5 of us, and I can't believe how challenging that was to get that thing off the mountain. But it was like one of those things where, people talk about how, the pain of it's, fun, and you remember it, and it's so true, that we all grinded, we all had fun looking back at it, but in the moment, it's like, this is brutal, downhill for 6.5 miles with, 55 or 60 pounds of meat on your back. It's easier going uphill in some of those situations than it is carrying that stuff going downhill. So those are memories that we'll never forget, but it's cool to do the podcast with it. And this last year with the pandemic is really FUBARD stuff, because almost everything I did with the podcast in the first year was in person. I just go and do this, or we'd be at camp, or we'd be doing whatever. And this past year was just not that, it was all of a sudden things are being done by Zoom, and which has opened up opportunity to have conversations with guys like John that are outside of the driving area for me to go to just on a quick whim, so it opens up new opportunities. But I so badly want to recreate those nights at camp when we're all just having fun and telling stories and doing this. But I'm also pulling back on it a little bit because, this tomorrow night, we're all going to be at camp. We got the whole family up there for opening day of turkey. And I so badly want to do a podcast, but it's also I don't want to make it more about that than make it about actually that night before opening day with the family, being in the moment. Right. So you got to kind of balance that, because you want to capture those things. You want to share the entertainment with everybody, but it's I don't want to push this on you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're a reality TV society now.
Right.
And it started maybe 20 years ago with American Idol or something, and now every other show is, that. So those people, what Deadliest Catch or Wicked Tuna or, any of those things, they live their lives with the camera. So I think you can take bits and pieces of that, for you. And like you said, tomorrow night, you don't want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
You just want to enjoy the moment.
Right. I'll have the stuff there. If people want to do it, throw it on, we will. But it's got to be – I think I just cherish the time with the family more than anything now. And it's Dad and I are at camp 2 weeks ago, and it's we were talking that was going to be our 100th podcast. We were going to record a podcast at camp. And I'm like, Dad, let's just hang out. You know, like, let's just, you and I just hang out and have no pressure to do nothing and just talk and then just go to bed.
Yep.
It's like, oh,
You'll
that's
probably
nice.
be glad you decided that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think so. You got a whole list of stuff in front of you, Tim. Did we hit it all?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just, I think the COVID situation and the way retail is going right now, I think that almost kind of created a space for the Hunt Works.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope people kind of come out and give Dan and Steve a call and come look at this.
You don't want him to bother you, do you?
I'm an hour away.
You got other
so
stuff going on.
I'm over by Syracuse.
Well, I mean, I think COVID has, it's done two things. It's forced people to operate, outside of their comfort zone and virtually, but it's also given people the appreciation of those in-person contacts and developing relationships. So, going back to the NDA and the banquets and everything, I think people sort of started to, maybe not appreciate those as much. And now post-COVID, everybody's looking forward to stuff like that. They just want to get back out there and be with people.
Yeah.
And, being able to be involved with things like that and, your podcast, going out and meeting people, it's got to be more fun in person than doing it virtually.
Night
so
and day.
It's, COVID has almost been I hate to say it's been a blessing in that regards, but it's sort of shown people their passions and what they really care to spend their time doing. That's why we've seen hunting grow so much, right? This past year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hunting boomed in COVID, and hopefully that continues because hopefully people realize that, hey, they love doing this, they love the outdoors, and they want to continue this even after, we go back to a regular semblance of life. So that's what we're counting on. I mean, we're just hoping people want to develop those relationships. They enjoy the outdoors. They want to come in, talk with us, learn about what we've got to offer. We can show them what we like, what we use personally, and go from there.
Yeah, I like it.
So we're sitting in, as a little aside to the business thing, we're sitting in the hardwoods room of the Flooring Works, which is one of the companies I'm involved in. And we just completely re-merchandised this building towards flooring, but we're still appointment only. And we want people to come and hang out and that kind of thing, but we don't want the Home Depot feel where you're sitting at a desk in the middle of stuff with all this freaking noise going on and everything. And it's like, do you buy the $4 a square foot or the $4.60 a square foot? And you have to make the decision right there. So we took a totally different approach of, come on in, sit down, take a look, and we will explain to you what the difference between the $4 a square foot and the $4.60 a square foot type of thing is. And that kind of spurned the model of the Hunt Works. It's like, are we going to be open for retail from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m.? No, we're not going to do that. But are we going to be accessible? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We want to be as accessible as possible, and we want to have the conversation. Come in, tell us what you're thinking of, where you're thinking about setting it up, what you're thinking about doing with your property or whatever, how many stands you want to put in, or if you want to do a box blind somewhere. And we just want to talk to you, figure out what the best opportunity is for you for what we sell, and then you make the decision.
Yeah. Right. Just make a recommendation.
Yeah.
I like it. So you're kind of, your method of selling in your other businesses is like, hey, let's come in here and have a one-on-one experience rather than have it be that. And I know I love that. I like when I go to sell to people, I don't want it to be a chaotic environment. I want it to be just an intimate one-on-one conversation, no pressure. Let me just explain this to you. So yeah, and that's kind of, hopefully maybe that changes a little bit of the market or the way things are done, where it's more kind of appointment based or more, personal, and not just you walk in and you feel rushed or pushed to do something. It's more of like an educational experience, and then you make the decision you want to make as a consumer,
Yeah, well, and it's tough now because so many brands are going direct to consumer, and that you aren't able to go in and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You were talking about this saddle hunting, the big name in saddle hunting. it's all direct to consumer. So if you want to get your hands on something, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no one to talk to. There's no one to learn from. It's just you got to buy it and hope you can figure it out and watch YouTube videos
Well, that's it. Yeah.
or whatever it might be. We're trying to kind of kick that. So.
Yeah.
And we'll do some informational stuff on YouTube, you know, as we really get set up and type of thing. I mean, let's face it, April, you know, if you don't have tree, guys right now aren't thinking, you know, M50 tree stands,
No.
you know, and where am I going to put them? So, but that's going to change in 6 weeks, and all of a sudden it's going to be like crunch time. So, you know, we know it's going to be a soft build up, and we'll get things, you know, completely merchandised and everything. But
Yeah.
you know, the more people call us now, and we can have these and work the kinks out, you know, the better we're going to be when it gets to crunch time.
Yeah. Well, let's with that point you just made, you know, let's try to get together again, maybe in July, and you guys will be a little bit more set up. It's not too long from now, but you'll be more set up, and you'll be really thinking about, people will be starting to think about setting their properties up and tree stands and stuff, and maybe you guys will have made some improvements or talk about some stuff you have going on in your property, because I think that's interesting to discuss, you know, how your property plans are going.
Yeah.
I would assume there's trees falling down, because Corey Figueredo is doing the work for you guys, right?
Yeah.
And he's our neighbor. So,
Super guy.
Yeah. So it's a small world. So it'd be a lot of fun to get back together, and we can have another hour and a half long conversation, maybe even meet up down there sometime.
Yeah.
You know, being that you guys are right over the hill, that'd be cool to
That would be great.
meet up and check out the property.
Bring a chainsaw.
We've got Wi-Fi
Yeah.
down there.
My blade's always dull.
Bring
so.
two.
Yeah.
We just got Wi-Fi at our camp.
Did ya?
Which is like the most freeing
High
thing in the
times,
world.
man.
Right.
It's either good or bad. Don't tell the women that you got Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, we never had cell service at camp. So, I mean, it was known, like, well, yeah, we're at camp. So Dad's gone for the weekend and we're there, but not so much anymore. Once the girls found out that we had full-on 4G, nope. Times have changed.
Yep.
Don't worry unless it gets to Wednesday, right?
Yeah, exactly. Call if I'm not home by then. Call the police. Send a search party.
Right.
So, all right, I'm going to wrap her up so I can jump her back on the highway. But
Super.
I appreciate you
Awesome.
guys having me in, and it's been nice getting to know you a little bit. And the
Thanks for
Dunnigan
coming
family,
in.
Huntworks,
Yeah.
check them
Coming
out
in.
over here in
Thank
East
you
Rochester.
very much, Billy.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll sell you a blind or two.
Thehuntworks.com.
There you go. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
One last thing before I let you go. I forgot to mention in regards to the Shedfest shirts, all of the shirts hit the mail on Friday. So if you have not received them yet, you should be in the next couple days. And make sure that you let me know if there's any issues with that. And you should be receiving the information from National Deer Association on your membership if you have not already very shortly. And same thing there. If you do not get them, let me know. And I bought a few extra shirts of each size. So if you did not get in on the contest and you would like one of the shirts, we're selling those starting at $15 for the smaller sizes and a couple bucks extra for the big boys. So if you would like another shirt or like a shirt, head over to PertNearOutdoors.com and get them before they're gone, because once they gone, they gone. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.